Alright, AKAPADers, welcome back to the channel. For the first time, we're discussing Chuck Dixon, one of my favorite writers, a writer that I believe is a top 10 writer in comic book history, a writer with a bibliography that any other writer would murder their dog for, or their mother. You guys know the point. But Chuck Dixon made an internet boo-boo. He has lost his credibility, and he's lost our belief in his intent when it comes to his online presence in YouTube and Twitter. But first, we're going to discuss what Chuck Dixon means to me, and I'm going to bring you on the path of what led me to this post. Let's go rock and roll. Chuck Dixon, my AKAPADers, he's a writer. I feel like he's been with me through my entire comic book reading journey. Going back to Alien Legion, I remember going to my local comic shop and just liking the characters. As an 80s child, the scope of the characters, just the randomness of them, appealed to me. So I became a fan. I believe at one point I may have owned I may have had a complete run of Alien Legion from Epic Comics, and I think also Alien Legion should be right option for Netflix. Then we get into a little bit of the modern age. Chuck Dixon being connected to Punisher, that is the run of his that just everyone goes to. Everyone goes to Chuck Dixon Punisher. But I will fast forward a little bit to cross-gen comics. His work on Brath, which basically stemmed from his experience writing Conan the Barbarian. Brath was legit. Brath, along with Ruse, and I always say this, Ruse and Brath and Sigil, probably the top 3 books that cross-gen had put out before their acquisition by Marvel. And we have to say that even in the end of the comic book boom that started in the 90s, when it was trailing off in the 2000s, cross-gen did a lot of good work, and Chuck Dixon was there. But for me, the Chuck Dixon that I know got me good. I was heavy into Scott Daniels, and Nightwing. Reading Nightwing got me into reading Robin. And we introduced a new Robin, a character named Spoiler, that he had built up. And when Spoiler became Robin, which was awesome, by the way, because it's a little nod to Dark Knight Returns, and he kills off Robin. AKAPADers, we're interrupting this video. Let me hit the lights. Hey, my AKAPADers, I have failed you. My infinite comic book mind failed myself. See, while I was recording this Chuck Dixon video, I recalled, and you gotta keep in mind, guys, sometimes I take notes, sometimes I'm able to do a little bit of research before I sit down and do some of these videos, but more often than not, I would say 95% of the time, I'm shooting what I'm speaking to you about from the tip of my brain, but along the way, I will say, verify in the comments, let me know, because, guys, there's a lot of eclectic comic book knowledge in this gray matter. In this video, I claim that Chuck Dixon killed off Spoiler. I had to do the research because there was something missing. I just knew maybe I was wrong. And guys, I'd like to be honest. I'd like to be truthful. This is why we're keeping this video as it is. And I'm just later shooting this part to correct myself along the way. People, Bill Willingham and the crew, Greg Rucka, all the great writers a part of Batman War Games killed off Spoiler. What I was reminiscing was an emotional moment between Robin and Spoiler in that Robin run. Now, I forget exactly what that moment was. I want to say that Spoiler was revealed to be either, like abused by her father, or, like physically, mentally abused. There was like a moment between the two characters, and I remember the emotional payoff, like how crushed I felt when Spoiler did get killed. And yes, I remember Spoiler having the tragic death. Spoiler later was tortured to death by Black Mask, permanently solidifying Black Mask in the newer Batman lexicon. That character had disappeared for a while. Ewan McGregor portrayal of Black Mask is dead on in that Birds of Prey movie. That is, sinister, evil, perfectly evil, very intelligent, a really good Batman villain. So people, let's just get to the rest of the video. Or kills off Spoiler, it was shocking to me. I still consider that issue to be one of the greatest single issues of the era of DC Comics. Chuck Dixon, in Tandem, was writing Nightwing and Robin. I believe he wrote Robin for 100 issues, maybe 110 issues, and Nightwing was close. Nightwing might have been even 80, 85 issues. So for almost like 10 years, he dominated the Batman family, and in my opinion, did a fantastic run, because he even built out villains for Nightwing that no one really even addresses to nowadays. So speaking of Nightwing, let's just guys, and it's already up, but I just have to say, look, sometimes you have to preface things in the realm of credibility, because the perspective I'm about to give you is rooted in me being deeply connected to Chuck Dixon, and he's a top 10 comic book writer, period. So he retweets this tweet: Nightwing talking to Superman. It gets picked up by a few other individuals, one of them being Eric July. Within 2 seconds of this, you can easily see it was, I believe it was purposely photoshopped or purposely pasted over. Clearly, this is fake dialogue. You only repost this if you're really trying to put a division point, if you're trying to virtue signal to a part of the base that wants to revel in the downfall of DC Comics. People, I am one of those people. We say this a lot. Let it all burn. Let it all crash down. Let DC and Marvel end up in a rubble. But you put this out, it gets picked up, it gets retweeted, and quickly you get owned when the real panel surfaces. AKAPADers, I'm not saying I have never made mistakes. I'm not saying I'm not capable of making mistakes. I'm not saying that we're not all human. Humans make errors. But the idea that you're kind of out there looking for something like this, to virtue signal to a part of the comic book world that is targeted. Remember that. Comicsgate and all of its connectors, even Eric July at this point, even Yellow Flash at this point, EVS, they're all connected to Comicsgate. They're all connected to essentially what would be classified as, you ready for this? Right-wing crowdfunding. But when you put something like this out with the intent to fire up support, it's a bad move. It's a weak move, and it's something that should not go rewarded. It should go criticized, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Chuck Dixon may have got me with the death of Spoiler, but guess what? The internet got him with the death of his credibility. AKAPAD here, rocking and rolling. Guys, it's Friday, but we got office work to do. Let's get busy.